The sun has set, and the house settles into its familiar evening quiet. It's a silence that used to be comforting, but now it feels heavy, thick with the presence of things left undone. You walk through the living room, your fingers ghosting over surfaces, not dusting, but tracing the outlines of a life accumulated. Here is the stack of magazines you promised yourself you'd read, their corners now curling with dust. Over there, the box of old photographs you intended to sort, a project for a tomorrow that never seems to arrive. Each object is a quiet monument to a postponed decision, a layer of history that has solidified into a physical barrier. For many over 60, the home has stopped feeling like a place of rest and started to feel like a quiet weight. It's a slow, creeping paralysis, the feeling of being a caretaker for a museum of your own past, with no clear instructions on what is valuable and what is simply finished. The fatigue isn't from a long day's work. It's from the sheer volume of these silent negotiations that you have with yourself, day in and day out, in a space that was once your sanctuary and now feels like a storage unit for a former life. This state of being stuck isn't a personal failing. It is not a sign of laziness or of being incapable. It is the natural outcome of a carefully constructed fortress of justifications, built brick by brick over decades of a life well lived. The problem isn't the stuff. It's the invisible lies we tell ourselves to keep it, the subtle scripts that run in the back of our minds, whispering that we are being practical, responsible, or sentimental. But these lies come at a profound cost. They steal our energy, our physical space, and most critically, our autonomy. They create a quiet, unspoken vulnerability, the ever-present risk that if we don't make these choices about our own life story, the day will come when someone else, our children, or even strangers, will be forced to make them for us, without our context, our feelings, or our final say. Today, we are not going to organize a closet. We are going to dismantle the 10 decluttering lies that have kept you trapped. We will expose them, understand their power, and replace them with truths that lead to freedom. And the 10th one is the most dangerous of all, because it so often disguises itself as wisdom. The first and most foundational lie is the one that sounds the most practical. Lie number 1, I might need this someday. This is the quiet justification for the drawer of assorted cables, the box of half-used yarn, the bread maker that hasn't seen a carb since 2005. This lie isn't born from logic. It is born from a deep-seated fear of scarcity, a memory of a time when things were harder to come by. It feels like responsibility, like you are being a good steward of your resources. But the truth is, it has a hidden, corrosive cost. Every item you keep for a hypothetical someday is a physical anchor tying you to a person you no longer are. That person might have needed to fix their own VCR or darn their own socks, but the person you are today might need space for a yoga mat, a comfortable reading chair, or simply the mental clarity that comes from an empty corner. The someday you are preparing for is a fantasy future, while the clutter is a very real thief in your present, stealing your space, your focus, and your energy, one just in case at a time. The second lie is even more insidious because it masquerades as love. Lie number 2, my family will want this. This is the china set that has never seen a family dinner. The heavy mahogany furniture that doesn't match your children's modern lives. The collection of encyclopedias gathering dust in an age of instant information. You hold on to these things not for yourself, but as a placeholder for your children's nostalgia. You see it as preserving a legacy, but what you are often preserving is a future burden. You are inadvertently making your love for them into a heavy object they will one day have to move, sell, or discard, all while grappling with the guilt of letting go of grandma's things. This isn't legacy. It's the delegation of a difficult decision you are unwilling to make yourself. The greatest gift you can give your family is not a house full of heirlooms they don't have space for. It is the freedom of not having to clean up the remnants of a life that has already been lived. It is the clarity of your affairs being in order. The third lie is a ghost of a past transaction. Lie number 3, but I paid good money for this. It whispers to you from the back of the closet, where the expensive suit you wore once to a wedding hangs, or from the kitchen cabinet that holds the crystal glasses that are too delicate to actually use. This lie is not about the item's current value. It is about your past self's financial decision. Discarding the object feels like admitting a mistake, like tearing up the money you spent. But the money is already gone. It was spent years ago. The real cost is the one you are paying today. The emotional tax of seeing that item, the physical space it occupies, and the silent judgment it passes on your current life. It keeps you tethered to a financial decision from the past, preventing you from living freely in your present. Letting go of that object is not about wasting money. It is about declaring that your current peace and freedom are more valuable than an old receipt. It is an investment in the uncluttered life you want to live now. The fourth lie is one of quiet procrastination, a promise made to a future, more energetic version of yourself. Lie number 4. I'll get to it later. This isn't a conscious decision to avoid the task. It is the perpetual deferment of a decision. It's the pile of mail on the dining table, the stack of clothes to be mended, the box of items to be returned. Each pile represents a small pocket of your life that is on hold, waiting for a later that becomes weeks, then months, then years. Believing this lie feels safe because it doesn't require you to say no to the task, only not now. But later is the most crowded time in the world. It is a mythical place where you will have more time, more energy, and more motivation. The cost of this belief is the slow erosion of your present. Your home, the one place you should feel at peace, becomes a living, breathing to-do list. Every glance at that pile is a subconscious reminder of failure, a small drain on your mental energy. The truth is, there is no perfect later. There is only the power of now. And reclaiming your space begins with a small, decisive act of handling one single item today. And then comes the lie of artistic and sentimental value, the most romantic of the deceptions. Lie number 5. But this could be useful for a project. This is the siren song for the creative, the resourceful, the person who sees potential in everything. It's the collection of fabric scraps, the jar of old buttons, the stack of beautiful but empty glass jars. It's the story you tell yourself that you are not a hoarder, but a resourceful artist waiting for inspiration. This lie is particularly treacherous because it ties the clutter directly to your identity as a creative and capable person. To let go of the project materials feels like letting go of a part of your potential, an admission that you will never get to all those wonderful things you imagined. But a home is not a craft store. When the materials for potential projects begin to suffocate the space you need for your actual life, they cease to be assets and become liabilities. The true cost is that the visual noise of unused potential prevents you from finding the clarity to start even one project. The liberation comes when you decide that your current peace is more important than 1,000 possible futures that have not and may not ever begin. The 6th lie is the most poetic and therefore the most difficult to challenge. Lie number 6. I'm saving this for its memory. This belief feels sacred. It is the box of your children's school drawings, the chipped teacup from your mother's kitchen, the faded program from a show you saw decades ago. These aren't just things. They are tangible pieces of a life, and letting them go can feel like a profound betrayal of the memory itself. You believe that by holding on to the object, you are keeping the moment alive. The profound cost of this belief, however, is that you are outsourcing your most precious memories to physical items that are slowly decaying in a box in the dark. Your home, meant for living, risks becoming a mausoleum for a past that can no longer be touched. You are not living with your memories. You are living around the clutter that represents them. The truth is that the memory is not in the object. The memory is in you. You do not need the ticket stub to remember the concert. The real way to honor your past is to live a life enriched by it, not a life crowded and burdened by its physical artifacts. The seventh lie cloaks itself in virtue and common sense. Lie number 7. This is still good. It's wasteful to throw it away. This is the voice of responsibility you learned as a child. To throw away a perfectly functional item, even one you haven't touched in a decade, feels wrong, almost immoral. It's the extra set of sheets, the spare coffee maker, the collection of saucepans that have been superseded by newer, better ones. Holding on to them feels like the responsible choice. But the hidden cost is that your home becomes a holding bay for objects that are good, but not good for you. You are honoring the theoretical usefulness of an item over your own actual present-day need for peace and space. The object may be good, but it is doing you no good by taking up valuable real estate in your life. In fact, it is being wasted by sitting unused in your closet. The truth is that an item's purpose is to be used. If you are not using it, the most responsible and least wasteful thing you can do is pass it on to someone who will. Letting go of the guilt is paramount. Your home is not a landfill for unwanted but functional items. It is the curated space for the life you are actively living now. Finally, we arrive at the great lie of modern life, the ultimate justification for inaction. Lie number 8. I don't have time to deal with this. This is the most powerful lie of all, because it feels objectively true. We look at a cluttered room, a packed garage, or a lifetime of accumulated papers, and we see a monumental project that would require a full week and a team of helpers. Faced with that overwhelming vision, it's completely logical to conclude that you simply do not have the time. This frames the problem not as avoidance, but as a practical scheduling conflict. The devastating cost of this belief is perpetual inertia. Because the perfect time to tackle the whole project never arrives, the clutter continues to grow. The task becomes even more daunting, and the cycle of overwhelm continues. You are living with the daily tax of the clutter, the mental fatigue, the wasted time searching for things, the quiet sense of shame, which is far more costly than the time it would take to begin. The truth is that decluttering is not a single monolithic event. It is a long series of small, manageable decisions. You don't need a weekend. You need 5 minutes. Pick one shelf, one drawer, one single pile, and set a timer. When it rings, you're done. This isn't about finishing, it's about starting. Here we encounter the 9th lie, born from the fear of what comes next. Lie number 9, if I get rid of this, there will be nothing left. This is the terror of the empty space. As piles shrink, a new anxiety can surface. The fear that empty shelves will mirror an empty life. This lie equates the presence of things with the presence of love and history. The devastating cost of this belief is that you are choosing to fill your present with ghosts of the past, simply to avoid the perceived emptiness of the now. You are barricading your future with old furniture and forgotten hobbies. The truth is that space is not a vacuum. It is an invitation. An empty corner is not a sign of loss. It is a space for a new beginning. It's room for the yoga mat you've wanted, the easel you've dreamed of, or simply the quiet, uncluttered peace to hear your own thoughts again. Letting go is not about creating nothing. It is about making space for anything. And now, the final and most dangerous lie, because it disguises itself as wisdom. Lie number 10. This is just who I am now. This is the lie of resignation. It's the whisper that tells you this state, the overwhelm, the clutter, is a permanent feature of your identity after 60. It's not a problem to be solved, but a fact to accept. It sounds mature, like you're at peace with your limitations, but it is a profound act of self-abandonment. The cost of this lie is the forfeiture of your future. It's giving up on the idea that you can still grow, change, and create a life that serves who you are today. The most profound gift, however, may be the one you give to your family, though it is one they may never have to open. By making these decisions now, you have lifted a future burden from their shoulders. You have replaced the inevitable stress and guilt of them having to sort through a lifetime of your possessions with the clarity of your own intentions. The difficult conversations about what to do with mom's things have been preempted by your decisive action. The love you have for them is no longer stored in a heavy china cabinet or a box of tarnished silver. It is demonstrated in this final, powerful act of stewardship. You are not leaving behind a problem to be solved. You are leaving behind a legacy of order and peace. This is the ultimate expression of care, protecting your children not just from a logistical nightmare, but from the emotional weight of making your final decisions for you. Your independence, in its final form, is ensuring theirs. To maintain this newfound freedom, you must adopt the mindset that created it. The future self-test becomes less of a one-time tool and more of a permanent lens through which you view every potential possession. Before you allow a new item into your home, you now instinctively pause and ask, will the person I want to be 1 year from now be served by this? Or is it an anchor to a life I've moved beyond? Ultimately, you have done more than clean your house. You have asserted your right to define your own life on your own terms, right to the very end. You have rejected the subtle narrative that aging is a process of passive surrender and have replaced it with a powerful story of active creation. Your home, now a reflection of your mind, is clear, intentional, and ready for what's next. This is the dignity of a life well ordered. It is the deep, quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are not a burden, but the architect of your own world. The space around you is no longer a source of shame or overwhelm, but a source of strength. It is a physical testament to your resilience and your decision to honor the future as much as you have lived in the past. This feeling of control, of lightness, is the foundation upon which you will build the rest of your story, ensuring it is one of purpose and peace. It is never too late to become the author of your next chapter. The story is not over. The weight you feel is not a permanent condition. It is a temporary burden composed of things you have the power to release. The journey does not begin with a dumpster or a dozen boxes. It begins with a single, quiet decision. The decision to challenge one lie. The decision to clear one surface. The decision to honor the person you are today over the countless people you used to be. The freedom you crave is on the other side of that choice. Look around you right now. Pick one thing, just one, and decide that your future is more valuable than its history. This is not about letting go of what you have. It is about taking hold of the life that is still waiting for you. And it starts now.